live stream of consciousness. Oh wait, this is more the speed. I'm engineering today, so it's a little different than when Michael's engineering. But Michael's only going to be here for a second. He's just checking in to say hello. He's part of a different live stream.
Yes, I'm actually at the Dee Snider concert right now.
That's cool. Amazing. How is it?
It's pretty good. It's one of the bands just went on, and hold on a second. Just trying to make my way around. Got Stevie Sage here with me.
What's up, guys?
Hey, Sage, how's it going?
Brother, I can't hear you though.
Steve Sage is a friend of the show.
Yeah, so, hold on.
And one of our listeners and watchers.
All right, hold on. We can sit down.
I am going to go push out my things over here. But I'm excited. I am just planning on going over
What's up, brother?
universal law. What's going on? How's it going? I got my book. I got some markers and some blank some pad here. And I'm going to teach some stuff.
Oh, cool. You're going to do these lessons.
Yeah, I can't hear you really good. But
it's really loud here.
Yeah, it's really loud here.
We're at the Stereo Garden in Patchogue.
All right, why don't you do your thing, dude?
yeah, I will see you. My sister has left me by myself tonight, high and dry, but it's okay. I taught the initial classes by myself, so we're just going to have a great conversation here tonight and have a nice time with the live stream of content.
Well, listen, I haven't seen you in a while, brother, and I miss you, and I hope everybody's well. And let's talk soon, all right? And,
Everybody's great over here. Talk soon, Mr. Sage.
yes, brother. Much love. All right. Adios.
All right, everybody, have fun. I'll talk to you guys later.
See you later, Mr. So how's it going, guys? I have headphones that are giving me this crazy kind of volume to them, or like static to them, and I don't know what to do. I might take my headphones. Let's see, my audio. I might go with my microphone's cool, but I might go with internal speakers. Oh, I don't know what to do. Or maybe I just deal with it. Okay, I'm gonna deal with it, guys. So how's it going? How are you? How is everybody out there? Do I necessarily need to hear myself? I don't, so I'm just gonna take those off and that'll be fine. Hello, welcome to the live stream of consciousness. I am your host by myself this week, Jesse Blaze Snider, and Michael Zinn is at this live stream concert thing related to my father. I think it was pre-recorded, and it's like some live stream concert that they produced and stuff. That's really cool. That you can, search on the internet or whatever. I wish I had more information, but. I thought for tonight, instead of canceling the show because my sister canceled last minute, that I would get on here and, do what I do without everybody. Because F them. No, it's all right. It's all right. I thought about canceling for 2 seconds, but we've done this every week. And in the beginning, when we started, Michael's produced 13 classes that I did on Long Island about universal law and sort of Kabbalah and things like that. And I got my handy notebook that I made up when I was, researching things just for the class, which was more of like organizing my thoughts and getting things together so I could put it into perspective for you guys. And that's what I'm going to try to do today as well. And hopefully give some new perspective on some of these things that we've spoken about before. But, I'm a new person because it's like a year later or something. So things are always new. And as I'm talking about these things, I really want you guys to feel free to interact and ask me questions. And if you don't understand what I'm talking about, let me tell you. I've got to thank Rock Against MS for hosting the show, as always, and send out some good healing thoughts to Nancy, who is just been dealing with a lot of health things and some personal things, and we hope that she's feeling much better. Anyway, thank you to everybody who's here early, like Taylor. I log on at 3 in the afternoon or something, and Taylor's already logged on, and commented. So thank you guys for your undying support. We appreciate it. Angela, Leaping Games, Ninja Kitty, all you guys, we appreciate it. Anyway, without further ado, start this thing. So this game of life that we are in is all about achieving energetic balance. And you know how if you were to get up on a balancing rope, right? You'd have to get used to, how loose was it? How much give was there when you were putting your weight on it? You have to get used to the wind, right? And maybe if you're leaning a little too far to the left, you fall off. If you lean a little too far to the right, you fall off. If you have your feet the wrong way, you fall off. But eventually, you come to figure out what the balance is, for that experience. And that balancing on a rope or balancing on a balance beam or balancing in any fashion, that is everybody's life. Everyone, your really grumpy friend is on a path to learn that being really grumpy isn't going to pay off, and it's going to basically get so advanced, their grumpiness, that eventually it's going to get to a point where they're going to learn from it, and they're going to have to make a turn, because we're living in this very interesting polarized world. Hold on one second. I got a little baby guest here, but here we'll take a quick break to say hello. Hi, sweetie pie. Hello. How's it going? Say hi to everybody.
Hi. But Dad, where are they?
Where are they? Where are the people that I usually do the show with?
Yeah.
They're not here today because they're doing other things. So I'm teaching a class on universal law. I love you.
I love you.
All right, but let me do this, okay?
Okay.
So, so this game is all about balance, and part of that balance, part of the reason why it's all about balance. Yes. Part of the reason why it's all about balance is because of the polarity of the inherent nature of our reality. And now the things that I'm going to talk about tonight, for those of you who haven't watched the original classes that I made, they are, these are really fundamental, okay? You can take it all with a grain of salt, but I think you will see that the laws of the universe are pretty hard to work around, if not impossible. I don't try to work around them. I've come to accept them. So these are the basic tenets of how the universe works. This is me writing them out in a really simple way and me breaking things down in my book in lots of different fashions. But we're going to start with the way I did it was 13 laws, because people like to talk about the law of attraction all the time. But I feel like the law of attraction is really a cumulative law, meaning that it, in order to achieve attraction, you have to understand the preceding laws that govern reality. Because if you just understand the law of attraction, you're really missing so much of what is governing everything. And you'll probably make changes to how you approach the law based on just thinking about the law of attraction, which is like, if I vibrate with the things I want, I'll get the things. There's a lot of other things going on. So I have the main basic laws broken down into threes, little pairs of threes. So up at the top of my thing right here, you see the law of one, the law of mind, and the law of polarity. There's lots of little notes on there, but the law of one basically states that we are all of one thing, from one thing, and ultimately are still one thing. That you and I are ultimately the same person. What do we need to learn from that? We need to learn to be, hi, original Ghost Boy, how's it going? We need to learn to really be kind to each other, because I'm not being kind to you. I'm being kind to me. Hey, Parker, I need you to leave me be, because I'm not going to be able to focus and do this stuff. Thank you. Sorry. We need to be kind It behooves us because we are just being kind to ourselves. And for every person, even like say I was a jerk to you, and then you were like, he was a jerk to me. I'm gonna go be a jerk back to him, and then I'm gonna do other things, and I'm gonna be a jerk for forever. You're gonna have to pay for that because you decided to go down a path of negative energy with that person, and that person's gonna have reasonable frustrations with you on a higher level that you didn't, take the high road when the first opportunity presented itself. And instead, you went down this path, like I see it with my older children, where, I keep trying to get them off of it to forgive each other, but they're in this loop of fighting with one another. And, the one thinks the other one started it, and the other one thinks the other one started. Well, you can't be involved in those things. These are little karmic loops with aspects of ourselves because we are all one. And there is a higher governing spirit that is, representative of sort of everything. And then there are lesser and lesser, larger governing energetic spirits that govern the ideas behind these things. We'll talk about that in a little bit in just a second. But essentially, all of this is coming to say, we're one. You, me, and God, the big thing, the universe, whatever you want to call it, are all one. We're all from and of that infinite thing. Okay. So, law 2 is the law of the mind. If you're studying Hermeticism, it would be the law of mentalism, or actually, it would be the principle of mentalism. Now, mentalism states that everything is of the mind, and there's a lot of different ways to ultimately look at the universe, but the universe being idea, being made up of various ideas strung together, the ideas of the universe. Because what came first, the chicken or the egg? This is the question that I love to ask in class. It's a false question. What came first, the chicken, the egg, or the idea for both? Idea. Idea comes first. You need to know what you're going to do before you do it. You need to believe that you can do something before you do it. Sometimes things happen by accident, but I mean, elaborate things, anything, worth creating, you have to be able to see it to bring it into form. So idea comes first, and you could break down the universe into sound waves and waves, and sonics is a very good way to look at the universe, but also different ideas, different octaves of ideas is also a fair way to look at it as well. And that is to say that, you or I are ideas of a self, an idea of an expression of the infinite. So I'm Jesse. My dad's Dee Snider. He's a rock star. My mom's a fashion designer. I've got siblings. Now I'm divorced, and I have a girlfriend named Julie. These are the aspects of my story. That create my perspective and the unique version of God or the universe that I represent, and you represent a unique, different version. And I think we've talked about before how there's like a wonderful kind of I don't know, the system where you see something on like a conveyor belt and it stamps the thing, move, stamp, move, stamp, and everybody gets a stamp on them when they're born into a certain month or series of days, whatever their horoscope may be, and the unique circumstances of the timing and whatnot. The water pressure in their body is basically going to polarize them in various ways. And they're, baby, if you come in here one more time, I'm going to be so upset. Go to your brother or your sister immediately. Do not come in here again. I need you to get out of here. Thank you. Sometimes you have to be a tough daddy. I'm sorry. And she took me out of where I was. It's okay. You guys can remind me in the in the comments, but I'm going to move on to polarity. So everything is made of your mind, and even I had a wonderful experience a long time ago where I was understanding that that the only reason why I recognized the ceiling fan was because I understood all the pieces of it. I understood the fan. I understood the beaded chain. I understood the mechanisms that I could see. And that if I didn't understand those things, it would disappear. And the weird thing was that it started to disappear as like I sort of like really strongly I lost touch with that understanding. And a lot of things were sort of disappearing from my reality because I was losing touch with my connection to them, with the vibration of the reality that I was in, where I was vibrating my room and the fan and the pillow and all these things. I remember when my pillow started to disappear, I was like, no, 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 put it back, put it back. I want everything back. But it was a really amazing lesson. And what I even saw that day was that I was creating so much of my hopes and dreams for the people around me. And that my good friend Aaron, like that he didn't have as many good thoughts about himself as I had about him. I had so many good thoughts about him. And that if I died, that my good thoughts about him would be gone as well. So not just sort of like the idea of my experience, my creation, but also my idea for the universe, my belief that the world can be better, that people can be more peaceful, that the people around me can have better lives for themselves. All that stuff was with me in the reality that I was creating. So we are all one, and we are all a mind. The third thing that comes from this oneness and this mind, because this oneness that we come from, and you'll have touched this if you've ever gotten to meditation, is a stillness, a loving, infinite, still sort of powerful of energy. And you could call it the nothing, or you could call it oblivion, but the mind of the universe came out of this nothing. From nothing came something. But this fundamental nature where the something that we are and we represent, that is a thought, the beginning thoughts of the universe that have eventually turned into physical reality, they're sort of polar opposites to each other. Nothing, complete stillness, and then activity, thought, change, form, all these things. So this fundamental nature of the universe, us coming from a still infinite nothing that still exists, but being, from and of that thing and being this infinite expansion, this thought of God, it makes us polarized creatures. It creates this polarity, which is the third law. Polarity, you could also think of it as duality. And what polarity really needs to teach us at the end of the day is how we're all right. That we're all sort of like polarizing, and we tend to hear from the fringe. We hear from the people at the furthest right. We hear from the people at the furthest left. And this is really the big problem in our society, where we're not listening to the balanced voices that are in the middle. Polarity, you could think of it this way. It is sort of a necessity of the universe, but you could also think of it being here to teach us, being here to balance us, being here to send us in one direction and then send us in the other direction and send us in the other. And I want to sit and talk about this polarity and this duality and some of these things for a little bit. And we're going to get into some other things, but I just want to talk a little bit about the nature of mythological characters and why they're, I think, so important, and why we do tend to get so much out of them, especially when they're done correctly. And you could really use any mythology that you're familiar with, but I'm just going to do something with Batman, okay? Because I think everybody's pretty familiar with Batman, and you can kind of see. Everybody knows the horoscope. I think generally, it's broken up into 12. Some people say that there's a 13th. That's, neither here nor there for our purposes. But I'm going to show you how easy it is to sort of break up Batman's world into different degrees of polarity of himself. Okay? So we're going to I kind of drew like a Pokeball thing here. And I'm drawing, we got This is, we're going to say, this is the evil side of things, and this is the good side of things, right? So we're going to put Batman up at the top. We're going to say that Batman is the pinnacle of his universe. Boom. So what does Batman need in his universe? What would be universally sensical for our understanding, for anybody's entertainment? How about the direct polarity of the really good Batman? And we'll call him the Joker. Yeah, buddy. Okay, cool. Right? Now, this is bad. This is good. Okay. So if we got bad and good and we're here in the middle, what could we say? Well, I immediately thought, oh, well, who was a hero became a villain? Well, I got a really good one for you. How about Harvey Dent? Harvey Dent, Two-Face. Two-Face, he's right at this new place of polarity where he's touching on something where he's almost a good guy. He's almost a good guy for Batman, right? And then you have somebody else like I mean, you could kind of go a couple different ways with this. You could go, no, I guess we'll go with Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn is now become a good guy in the DC universe. So she was a bad guy, but now she's been redeemed and she's moving back into the thing. Now, what do we have here with my stupid Batman analogy, right? We've got 4 personality archetypes already, right? We've got 4 sort of skewed people. Does that describe Two-Face as being kind of good and bad? Yeah, he flips a coin and he's good, sometimes he's bad. Does this describe Harley Quinn? She used to be a bad guy, but now she's good. Yeah, she's just learning how to be a good guy. So she's right on the cusp of it. So we're looking at this like this, and we've got 4 people broken down here. Grayson, I love you, but I'm not actually going to be able to have people come in like and hang out tonight. So like until later, and you guys keep interrupting me. I like it's difficult stuff to follow and be interrupted. My apologies, guys. So I got it here just broken down by 4. What did we say? The horoscope was broken into 12s. So if we did 2 here and 2 here, and hey, obviously, guys, I didn't have a chance to prepare this before I came in. I mean, I did a little bit, but I only found out that my sister wasn't going to be able to make it. She's under the weather. I called her yesterday to make sure that she was fine, but she said she kind of misunderstood. So she took the easy way out today. All right. So I'm adding more pieces to this, right? And now we're going to say that, this is the more good side, or we'll say, that's what we'll do. We'll say this is the more good side, and this is the more bad side. So somewhere in this mix, we've got Jason Todd, right? The Red Hood. He kills people. He tries to kill people, right? Then we've got somewhere in this, and maybe I should do 3 because I could do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That would be 12. But I mean, see, this is the thing. Once you have this top established and this bottom established, you could do so many degrees. So also on the bad side, we could do Damien Wayne, which is the new Robin. Damien, he's a little kid. But, and he's kind of the mind of the Red Hood, but he's not the Red Hood. So then on the other side, we've got like the more goody guys. What do we got? First, we got Robin and Nightwing are both kind of similar. Tim Drake and Dick Grayson, at least on that side of things. Tim Drake, Robin. But maybe on the better side of things, we'll say Alfred, and we'll say Commissioner Gordon. Right? And then when you go into the bad guys, you can do the same thing on the other end. Who's an even more severe Joker? Oh, there's this guy, Dr. Hurt, or the Court of Owls. Because this game is played. It's a polarity game where we are messing with, based on Batman, we do this. Everything's based on that thing. Now, when this stuff is done poorly, like when creative art is done poorly, people always mess up all these polarities, and they don't base things around Batman, but they make everybody like Batman. Because you could do another chart, below, where you go, okay, what's the Justice League? Oh well, we've got Batman's in like the darker side of things. We've got Superman, he's in the lighter side of things, and then we've got Wally West, he's funny, lighter side of things. You could just keep going around and making these circles with every single franchise, Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings and all these things. Even when nobody has any sort of awareness that they're doing what they're doing, you are getting this because it's just an intrinsic part of the universe. And we are always tempted to play one side against another. And that's largely what happens in the political spectrum as well, as we play one side against another. But what we like to think that we do on this show is turn people on to conscious thinking and bringing themselves to their awareness of the balance that they need to seek, the balance in this inherent polarity in our reality. So if we got any questions about these first three laws, just jot them down real quick, and I will get them back. But I think these three are the easiest ones to know. And as you see this, I'll probably use a little bit of this, these storytelling things, just as some good analogies, because I've been thinking about them recently. So coming down to law number 4, 5, and 6, we've got the law of vibration, the law of relativity, and the law of gender. And, my only contribution to this information is just how I organize this stuff to try to pass the information on to people. So, somebody else might show it to you a different way, but I like these groupings because the law of vibration basically states that just everything vibrates, right? We got Batman's vibration. Boom. There's a lot of vibrations. We got Batman's vibration. We got the Red Hood's vibration, and when we do things like this, we can see that like Two-Face and Harley Quinn are opposite. If we did the right job with our villains, we could find that the Red Hood was similar to, whatever bad guy we put up over here, or that Alfred was similar to whatever good guy we put up over here. Or whatever bad guy we put on the other side. So, these are all different vibrations. And law number 2 states is the law of relativity. Every vibration has a relativity. So relative to Batman is the Joker. Relative to Two-Face in this case is Harley Quinn. And it's basically this kind of circular chart. This is why people are opposites so often. They're like, man, those people are such opposites. There are tons of people on this planet who are total opposites. And sometimes opposites attract. And sometimes you'll be attracted to somebody else on your wheel because of where they sit adjacent to you and how they differ from you. Oh, so sweet. So looking at vibration and then looking at relativity, as we got, here's Batman vibration and his relativity is the Joker. These things create what is known energetically as gender, because in our reality, there's only 2 energies, essentially. It's the masculine and the feminine gender. This is one of the things that really confuses, I think, a lot of people as they grow up. If they're a boy and they have a lot of feminine energy, I had a lot of feminine energy. I kind of hid it when I was younger. Nowadays, I let it out, because I'm masculine as well. But I like, really, it's just more my nature. Like I walk around one of my other jobs sometimes, and I'm like, my hands are bent, I'm like la la la. And occasionally I've commented on myself, I'm like, I'm so gay, but I'm just sort of happy and light, and that's just my nature. But if I was a little bit less comfortable with that, it can lead to me being really confused about myself in various ways. And girls too, who have a lot of masculine energy, sometimes they get confused about, well, what does this mean? Because they think that boys just have masculine energy and girls just have feminine. That's not true. Everybody is a mix of the two to varying degrees. And where your balance is, putting Batman aside and Joker aside of these things, where your balance is will dictate some of your personality. And Batman and Joker's feminine and masculine are probably upside down if we did a psychological analysis of them. I used to be, I guess, a wounded masculine and pretty strong feminine, but I was hiding my feminine energy when I was younger. So it's very interesting. Everybody can be very different, and it all comes down to the fact that there are only these two energies, and they're intermixed with everybody. Okay, so everybody's going to find themselves somewhere on the wheel somewhere. You're either Batman, or you're the Joker, or you're Red Hood, or you're Alfred, or whoever you might be. But this makes you these mixes of energy, and we've gotten gender mixed into individual people. Like she's a girl and she's a boy, but it is more complex than that. Everybody is a little bit of both. So that's the law of vibration, the law of relativity, and the law of gender. It's pretty simple stuff, but these are these little fundamentals that make up the universe, right? So if anybody's got any questions about that, drop me a little line here. It seems like everybody's following along pretty good. I don't know how to do the thing where I put the comments up on the screen yet, but maybe I can figure out how to do that as comments stack up. All right, so I'm going to move on to 7 through 9. I've got these represented as the yin and yang here. We've got the law of the perpetual exchange. Sorry, I went through so many versions of how I would break these down. The law of the perpetual exchange of energy, the law of inspired action, and the law of cause and effect. Now, when we looked at the initial thing in the law of one up here, I talked about the one thing that we all come from being this sort of nothing. It always used to freak me out when I was a kid, actually, the nothing from the Never-Ending Story was sucking everything up. But there's a basis in reality for it. And on some level, I knew that it was true. Polarity, though, it's true that there's nothing, and it's true that there's something. So don't be too worried that you're going to fall into oblivion when you pass away. But from this nothing came everything, right? So I like to take the black of that yin and yang and represent as the perpetual transmutation, perpetual exchange of energy. Because this is a sort of the potential energy that's there, that sparked the thing. And now we've got this potential that's always there for more creation, essentially. And then inspired action when the right thing is taking place. Now, I call it inspired action for a couple of reasons. When people talk about it as the law of action, sometimes they think, like I used to think when I was a kid, it's just action, 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 action. You take as much action as you can, and that's not it. It's a law of inspired action, right? And you can even break it down as inspired action when you get to the creation of the universe as we know it. Because as the universe was created, you've got nothing, you've got oblivion, everything. There's nothing. There's nothing to see. There's no color. There's just nothing. And then from nothing comes this little something. And what then happens is the inspired action of the universe. And in a deep meditative state, I once was able to see this, which again, there's no visual. There was a visual to represent it, to show it to me. But it was just sort of, it looked like, let's say you were a computer and you were just booted up. And all of a sudden, there's just like a tiny little dot that's been booted up. And you started to stretch the parameters of what you were and what your reality was, right? All of this, it basically, to me, it looked like a black garbage bag with something just sort of stretching in different ways in it. But what this was the intuitive, inspired action of the universe to feel its way around. And so much of the foundations of how the universe felt its way around the first time, I'm sure, is what is leading to all the other creation, as I know that all these things stacked on top of each other as things were created. So you've got an inspired sort of action that takes place when the right moment takes place. In the class, I like to tell the joke about the guy who's on top of the house during the flood. And he climbs to the top of his house and he starts praying to God to save him. And a little while later, a boat comes and they say, come on, jump on the boat. And he's like, no, 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 God's going to save me. And he keeps praying. And a little while later, a bigger boat comes and they throw him a life preserver. And he throws it back to them. He's like, no, 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 God's going to save me. Now the water is up to his neck and he's praying to God to save him. And now a helicopter comes. They throw him down a ladder and he tells the guy, refuses, and like, God's going to save me. So he dies and he goes up to heaven and he runs up to God and he's like, what the hell, man? You just made me look like an asshole. I told everybody you were going to save me. And God says, I sent 2 boats and a helicopter, man. How come you didn't take them? And that's what we talk about when you talk about inspired action, where the energy of the universe, because you're trying to get yourself to a state of relaxation where what you want and who you really are is being projected. Once that happens, whether it's through distraction or through practice on getting yourself to this state, this is going to allow things to be pulled to you. This is what we talk about when we talk about the law of attraction. You're going to be pulling the things because you're reacting to. I jumped one sentence ahead. Now, and as you're pulling these things in, either by distraction or through practice, you are going to get opportunity like those boats. And now, unlike that guy in the joke, you take the boats, or at the very least, you take the helicopter when it finishes clubbing you over the head. Because sometimes you don't get that many opportunities. But it's when those opportunities come about, when we're able to pull those right opportunities in, those magnetic attractions, that we go, this is what I was looking for, and you take it. That's inspired action. So we're talking about the law of perpetual exchange of energy and the law of inspired action. Number 9 is the law of cause and effect. Perpetual exchange of energy. There's infinite amount of energy for new things to happen. Inspiration comes and new things are created. On it goes. Cause and effect. It's very, very simple, but this is one of the laws of the universe in that everything has a cause and effect, even going down to the beginning of the universe when we're just looking at this giant nothing, but the cause of that nothing was, the effect of that nothing was something. It's so interesting. And then the effect of that something being added to the nothing was polarity, and you could kind of say, and the effect of that polarity was this sort of infinite vibration. And this is actually kind of the way that I built this class and teaching these things, in that I use cause and effect to basically go, this is the beginning of it, and then it goes this way and this way and this way and this way. All right. So, and you'll see how it builds in a second. So that's it. Just very simple. Cause and effect. Everything is sort of begetting each other. There is no just you. And as we've talked about in the class before, when it comes to my children fighting, or when it comes to me progressing as a person in reality, I need my brother. My daughter needs her brother. Right now, they need each other to, feed whatever thing, but it's not, there's no just, it's, if I could just get rid of the one, it's never like that. It's always a cause and effect. And it's always about how you reacted to the thing that they did. When somebody goes, oh, you're fat, or oh, that hat's lame, or whatever it is, and you're like, no, it isn't, I like it, or whatever, people stop bothering you. I'm sure if you've ever heard anybody talk about anti-bullying, ways to get bullies to stop, you don't care. Eddie Izzard had a great stand-up bit that he was a transvestite. People used to be like, oh, it's a bloke in a dress, it's a bloke in a dress. There goes a guy dressed as a woman. And he'd be like, yeah. And he said, and the guys, they just never knew what to do. They would just be like, huh, he's a bit confident for a bloke in a dress. The only reason why you can be made a victim is because you allowed yourself to be victimized at some point in the chain. And I know that's a terrible, terrible thing to say sometimes for people, but it really is our reaction to the things that dictates the chain of events that leads to the future. If my daughter had been like, oh, Cassidy, you're not bothering me, he would have given up. They give up. But she didn't. She was like, oh my goodness, this really bothers me. This bothers me. You're pushing my buttons. I'm telling mom and dad. And now he's got power over her. And this is like the little game and the little wrestle of power struggle that we get in with people. And really, it's a matter of, do you want to play power struggle with the other gods who are ultimately you, who you're going to have to pay for? You have to pay in the end for what you did wrong to them. And what you got incorrect? Or would you rather just go, you know what, I'm just going to take the high road. I know that you don't see that we're the same person, that everything in the end, we're going to have to pay for this stuff, but I do. And I don't want to just, so I'm just going to let you be you and try to take a high road. And that's the thing, why it is ultimately all our faults, because we didn't take the high road. We allowed ourselves to be triggered or be affected. And it's okay. It's okay when you get triggered. It's okay when you're affected. You know, these are real things that happen to people. You know, like I get really triggered. It's so crazy. I love so deeply. I'm such a passionate guy. When I get compromised, it's just the same. It's just the same for me. It's so awful. You know, you can't, it's hard to enjoy the great parts of being a really passionate and happy guy, because that's like who I am really at my core. That's who I want to be. That's who I try to be. And then at the same time, I will be taken down a peg by like triggering sort of circumstances. And I've had to learn to slowly pull myself out of allowing the triggering to take place. And it hasn't really been fun. Like this, it's not like a thing of where I'm slowly like, this is so. It's been a lot of like, ow, that hurts. Ow, that hurts a little less. Oh, that hurts a little too, but okay. Like, oh, well, this doesn't really hurt, but it's kind of annoying. You know what I mean? Like it's like a slow burn, and a lot of times, and I, I still recommend it. I still recommend you going through that slow burn and you disconnecting yourself from being a part of the cause and effect that gets involved in this polarized world that we're in. I believe that on some level we're all very righteous. We all know a few things. You know, we've all got at least one or two things right. You know, and that's all we need to be very righteous and feel um, like the thing that somebody did to hurt us or trigger us is okay to hurt them back about, and that's an okay feeling to have. But at the same time, it's not an okay thing to react to. You know, I found as I slowly started to really unwrap all of the feelings that I had with like family members or whatever about like things that they would say where I was reading into it and adding meaning to it, which I think we all do. I saw I was doing it a little bit with my kids. I was reading into why they did a thing or something. I was trying to catch them in the act, which I realized was a thing that my parents always kind of did to me too. Um, but you know, that's the thing that we got to get away from. Everybody's living in their own reality, and we don't want to become a part of that cause and effect as we trigger them after they've triggered us. You know, we want to heal us so that we're no longer affected by these things. It's like, you know, yeah, it'd be nice if people could be nicer, but it would also be even nicer if all of us were so strong that we could all go around making jokes and nobody ever got offended because we were all such strong people. Wouldn't that even be nicer? Honestly, right? That'd be nicer. I'd rather live in a world where we all felt really good about ourselves and could take a joke and yeah, my weight, ha ha ha, whatever, you know, yeah, ha ha ha, my haircut, yeah, ha ha ha, whatever, right? That is a nicer world. I got some really lovely comments here, some sweet people. Original Ghost Boy, appreciate you. Carrie, OMG, overcoming triggers, just brutal. Yeah, it is. It really is. You know, because so many of these triggers too, they're very, very deep rooted. They're deep rooted. They're programs from when you're young, very, very young. Mine, like I don't remember some of these things that I like patterns I've put myself in. And because it's not a very conscious thing that I'm doing, it's just something I started doing when I was little. It's really hard to stop. But it's a real slow process of this polarity. You know, I've said before, I've put this in other terms. It's a very, very simple thing. But if we think about a ball that's kind of swinging through the polarity, and I'm going to make a center line here, right? So say we got backwards. So we got a center line, and that ball is going to cross through the center multiple times before it finds balance, because it's going to start essentially polarized on the outside in one direction, and we'll call this, I don't know, we'll call this negative. Or no, we'll call this one positive because I just did it as a positive. We'll call this one negative, right? So you start off positive, But then, experience tells you don't be too positive. You're going to get your hopes up, and you're going to get your dreams crushed. So then all of a sudden, like, you polarize over here. You're like, I'm going to be negative because being positive is really painful, right? And then at a certain point, you're being so negative, you realize you're bringing everybody down. You're losing your friends. It's just not right. So you're like, man, I got to be more positive. And you go back to over here and you start trying to be really positive again, and but now, like, you're just kind of getting yourself back in some of the similar patterns. You're with the same kind of people that aren't, like, polarized right. They're not the right people for you, and all of a sudden you get negative again and you go back over here. But again, you're polarizing a little less each time. Now you're a little negative because you're trying not to get yourself into this place, which we knew we didn't like this, and we know we didn't like this, and now we know we don't like this, and now we're going to see if we like this. And then eventually, when you're in that, like, fourth position, you find your way back to some version of balance where you're like, all right, I'm going to try to be optimistic, but I'm not going to set myself up for disappointment. And at the same time, I'm going to generally try to be positive, right? And not negative, right? Everybody's doing this. And the only thing that's different is where you are. Where are you in this beginning? Did you start out negative? Maybe, I think some of us start out balanced. Some of us come in really balanced. I think I'm a pretty balanced guy. I think I came in balanced, got really crazy by some of the things that I was taught, and then started going, oh, well, maybe I was wrong. Oh, well, maybe I'm right again. Trying to get to this balance point. And that's what everybody's trying to do. All right. So we also got a comment here from the original Cans. Love you, Cans. How's it going, baby? And that's what we are here for, to help remind you of the light within, and we get you to shine again. Oh, thank you, Cans. That's so sweet that you said that. Yes, indeed. And Carrie says, yes, the ball is a great analogy. The swing is so wide at first until we get closer to embodying the balance, which for me is always closer to the nature I had as a child before life hit. Yes, exactly. I really do believe that we certainly come in balance. I think that a lot of us come in ready to be triggered. I saw with my children, and I have 4 of them, so I had a breath to sort of gauge an opinion on something like this. That there were a lot of personality traits that all of a sudden developed in them that I can't say myself or my wife put there. Because they weren't really in us. They're unique to us. They're different to us. And there were certain reactions that I saw from, like, I can remember very clearly my son Cassidy. He had this terrible reaction to me one day. It was maybe the first time I was a little aggro with him, I think. And I was just a little like, Cassidy, whatever. And he had this look on his face like, you're not my friend. You're a bad guy. And I don't love you anymore. And I could just feel this, like, he just, like, shut down. I had never seen him do that before. And it wasn't really like a reaction that I've seen from any of the kids, but he, like, because I had been a little aggro with Logan in the early days here and there. Generally speaking, I'm like pretty much a putty cat most of the time, although occasionally I'll like get a little stern with them or whatever, and they'll tell you that I yell at them. But I'll talk like this. I'll be like, Logan, just like, don't yell at me. Really? But that's only because I used to yell at them, and that's what they're used to responding to. So when I go to parent them, they're like, you yelled at me yesterday. I remember. So anyway, when I had this aggro reaction to Cassidy, he immediately changed, was triggered. He was brought to a place. And I think because of the nature of energy recycling and all this, what you could call reincarnation of energy, we sometimes come in with things that we're predisposed to being upset about that we have to get over, or predisposed to being upset about to shape our lives in one way or another. And these things are perfectly fine, and they make us uniquely ourselves. But I do believe that the children generally come in perfect balance, but then life brings out certain things in them on purpose to, so that they can heal those things, so that they can bring forth the lessons of those problems. For me, it was not telling people your problems. I never wanted to be a burden. I always wanted to be a help. just wanted to help people. I didn't want to burden my family or anybody. So when I got hit by a car when I was young, I immediately like pressed it down, and I was like, I'm not going to talk about this. Like nobody's going to find out about this. Everything's going to be cool. And I didn't really do much about it for a very long time. And when I was 30, I woke up with chronic body pain all the time. And that was what launched me into a spiritual pursuit of meditation and working with psilocybin and ayahuasca and trying to get to the bottom of what I had done wrong. And I certainly did come to the conclusion in so many ways that this was something that I had done in other lives where I had been hurt really badly, and I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell anybody that I was hurt, and I just sort of suffered. And as I suffered, I festered. I festered with anger and pain, and you know, how could they do this to me? How could they do this to a boy? How could this? How could that? All these different things because I was righteous, feeling that righteousness, and that's why I say that I think we all have a little bit of righteousness within us because I think we've all also suffered in other lives. And when we see the injustice and we want to be able to do something about it, sometimes we hold on to sort of petty things to sort of correct and control our environment and our reality and make things better because we know that there's better than this. We're righteous people. And that's good. You know, we got to hold on to our righteousness, but we've got to realize that the higher righteousness is to recognize that, you know, we have to stop taking part in this polarized argument, you know, and that's the whole spiel for the live stream of consciousness, becoming conscious of this duality, of this polarity. All right, so I'm going to move in to number 10, 11, and 12, and then we'll end the show on the law of attraction. And I guess I'm doing pretty good. I thought I was going to take a little bit of time to go through some of these things, but we're doing all right. We're doing all right. Oh, and Ninja Kitty had a comment. She says, kind of like when I tell my mom something positive and my mom turns it into something negative, even though it really wasn't negative to begin with. Oh, here, let me take a little quick pause for that. So I used to think of my mother as a major naysayer. I used to think of my ex-father-in-law as a naysayer as well, even though I talked about him before. I really adore him in a lot of ways. But they always seem to have something negative to say. I realized that it wasn't so much that they had something negative to say. It was that they would, like, whatever you said, they would say the opposite of the thing. It was very frustrating. You'd be like, it's hot. They'd be like, it's not hot. It's pretty cool. And you'd be like, you can't just agree with me that that's like relatively hot, you know? That would be the sort of thing where it would be like there would be a polarized response. And I realized that's actually a sign of wisdom. You can have the higher sign of wisdom in recognizing that that person's just sort of grasping at straws of their wisdom in pointing out, hey, there's another way to look at that thing. Doesn't necessarily have to be viewed the way you're saying it, could also be viewed this way. Right? So if there's somebody who's just always saying, thanks for noticing, and then rain cloud, rain cloud, rain cloud, you know, there are people out there who are negative. But my mom and Paul Story, they were both, I found, just always trying to point out that what I thought was sacrosanct wasn't as sacrosanct as I thought. And that is actually very wise because what are we learning from this? We don't want to be Batman or the Joker. We want to be the civilian on the street who's not involved in any of this crap. The person reading the comics. We want to be nice and balanced in the middle. So anyway, that's just an interesting thing to talk about. Oh, and thank you, Angela. I appreciate it. When I came on a little bit in the beginning, I was like, I'm not, I wasn't really prepared for this, but I think it'll go okay. So so forgive me if things aren't as organized in the beginning as I might have liked them to be. You know, if I can organize these things before I start, makes it a little bit easier to keep it organized for you. But hopefully, I'm doing a nice job for you guys. Anyway, I love you guys. Thank you guys for joining me and for watching the show. I hope you're enjoying what we're talking about. So anyway, getting into law number 10, 11, and 12. Again, I grouped these guys together. It made sense to me, and I think it'll make sense to you once you see what they are. It's the law of rhythm, the law of correspondence, and the law of infinite compensation. All right. If you saw the law of rhythm, I did a little shape. So often I've looked at the stars and I've thought, what's the meaning of life? I think the meaning of life is to give life meaning, is to make a point. Because as I was looking at the stars, I said, because, you need 1 point in order to build anything else, right? If you want to make even a circle, you're going to, you start from there, and then you make your circle. And then if you're going to make a square or a triangle, you need 3 points, 4 points, whatever it might be. And making a point creates a rhythm. By creating Batman, we create our point. And then with the Joker, we've got another thing, and then we say we go to our Robin, and we have a rhythm, right? 1, 2, 3, and we got ourselves a nice little rhythm. 1, 2, 3, the law of one, the oblivion, the law of the mind that comes out of that oblivion, and the polarity that it's created from the mind and the nothing, right? That's a rhythm. So rhythms can be, really as small as I like to think 1, 2, 3. And larger. And when you look in here, there's a lot of other ways to look at this. Like I have it set up as colors later in my book. Here, I can show you. Like if you look at the tree of life here, this way. Sorry, it's going to green screen out my greens. But these 1, 2, 3, this 1, 2, 3 pattern, you've got white, black, and gray. 1, 2, 3. Nice little rhythm, right? And then when you go into Roy G. Biv, right? Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. You can go purple, pink, whatever. All of these numbers, and if you go into like math and numerology and stuff, different number sets and building number sets and stuff, they're all different rhythms. We're going to go 3, and then we're going to go 6, and then we're going to go 12, and then we're just going to double every time. These are all different rhythms. So we build, and as we build in these rhythms, right, we have correspondences. Now, a correspondence is essentially, I guess the easiest way to think of it is if you go to the mall and you see one of those, or anywhere, where you see one of those donation, it's like what do you call it? I don't know. It looks like an ocean where the ocean's sinking in. I'm forgetting the word where you call that, where it's like the sinkhole in the ocean, the bottom of the bathtub, right, where the water's going in, and the penny, you drop a penny down the side and the penny goes in, right? It goes around and around if you get lucky. If you don't get lucky, it just goes straight to the bottom. But if you get lucky, the penny goes, right? So a correspondence is as we go around. We go around, and and actually here you can do it here with like Batman, right? You go around. Well, I'll just do it here so it's easy to see. You go around, and now you come to here. When you get to here, you're essentially in the same spot where you started. You're an octave lower now. This could be viewed upside down, and you could say you're an octave higher. But we could view it as you're an octave lower. You're going down. So now you go, boom. Here we are. We're back in the same spot we were. Correspondence, except we're lower. Right? And this is just more corresponding spots to where we are in that thing. When you go to play some music, right? You start on the G and you end on the G, or on the C and you end on the C. It keeps going, and you go to the next octave and the next octave. And apparently reality works like that, where we keep going to the next octave. There's more colors that that some people have reported seeing, but there will be another color wheel filled with colors that we couldn't see from the spectrum of light that we can see, because we can only see a limited spectrum of light. We can only hear a limited spectrum of sound. We're only experiencing a fraction of what reality has to offer. So you've got what there? You've got the law of rhythm, the law of correspondence, and then the law of infinite compensation. The law of infinite compensation basically states that this spiral goes on forever. It just keeps going. That penny keeps going. It goes through to the tippy time, and then it comes out on the other side, and it starts getting wide in, and it just keeps going and going and going. Why? Well, the law of infinite compensation comes back to the law of one and the law of the mind. What are we? We're a mind. Is there a limit to how many thoughts you can have? No, right? I mean, until you're dead, just keep on thinking, right? And God, or the universe, or whatever you want to call it, the cosmic fishbowl, as I used to like to call it when I was younger, um, it can just keep on thinking for forever. So if thoughts, creative thoughts, creation, thoughts of that chicken, thoughts of that egg can keep coming out of us, what's the limit? There's no limit. It's infinite compensation. So from this universe comes infinite things. And it is an illusion for us to believe that there is a limited supply and no, there's not enough land and there's not enough this, there's not enough that. And, while I don't have every answer about the logistics of how that works, I do know, I've seen all of these laws in action. And I see that this is so much of the underpinnings of the sacred geometry that Freemasons use to build beautiful, beautiful buildings. The underpinnings of the biology that we're on, and the highest levels of sort of more spiritually led, biology. I shouldn't say spiritually led. I should say more Eastern medicine led biology, because in Eastern medicine they acknowledge what is our energetic body. And I've talked about this a little bit in the past. There's a book called The Field, which I highly recommend to everybody. Really, like if you got a few dollars, go on Amazon right now, buy The Field, and come to understand what so many do, which is that we are in an interconnected field that the planet Earth is creating, and we are creating interconnectively, and we all have energetic bodies, auras, as people have called them. And these auras, actually, within the field, they show that we grow into our auras, that our aura, our energetic field, is the thing that has the information about Jesse as an adult. The aura does. And my physical body is growing into that. It's following the blueprint of my aura. And there's a lot of evidence and science to back this up. And granted, this is stuff that's not exactly accepted by the mainstream, but I believe if you follow along with their story and everything that they've done to try to demonstrate how this is absolutely true, and this fits with so much of Eastern medicine belief and things that can be proved through Kirlian photography and other means. You have an aura, you are an energetic being. What came first, the chicken or the egg? The idea for both. So the idea for you, the energetic idea for you, is there first. So the field really, really elucidates this that conversation, and you'll understand that was one of the first books that my family, the Snider family, really got connected with. Another book, if you've read that one already, that is a great one to check out, is called Many Lives, Many Masters. That's the one that opened us all up to past lives, and the idea that perhaps we were bringing in a certain amount of karma or a certain amount of energy or weight from other lives with us that we needed to work out. And these are all things that you may want to understand and try to get to the bottom of as you're approaching this spiritual awakening that we're all on. So those are the 12 laws of the universe. We're going to get into the last one, the law of attracting creation, in just a minute. But I'll put the last line out for questions, and I'll thank everybody for coming to this show, this one-man show. I hope I did okay in getting some of these ideas out to you. And maybe we will go through them real quickly, all of them, just not like at length, just like real brief, to get to the law of attraction. So we can just look at them very simple, because they are simple. There's things to think in reevaluating your life and how you live within these things, but at the same time, they're very simple things. So don't overthink what these things are. So let's go through this real quick. And let me see. We got I'm doing great. Yes, educated. Thank you, Angela. Yeah, negative Nancy's. I know. She has wisdom. That's what I mean. Sometimes there's the negativity. There's wisdom there. Original Ghost Boy says your feminine side just came out. Never thought I'd see that. Yeah, my feminine side comes out all the time. I'm very feminine. Let's see. Whirlpool. Yeah, the whirlpool. That's it. I couldn't. I like. You know what? I was. I think I thought whirlpool, and I was like, no, that's the name of the pool, the jacuzzi. And even after death, our energy goes on. Yes. No. I believe. I've seen enough to believe and know that after death, our energies do go on. All right. So going through, we got our first three. We're all one, coming from that infinite nothing. that infinite potential. We are all mind. And because we are nothing and something at the same time, we're all polarized, right? Each one of us is its own unique vibration. And based on our vibration and based on the vibrations that are possible, there are relativities to all of those vibrations. Every vibration has a relativity. There are different ways to kind of look at that relativity as well, of course. And then, of course, this leads to our, oh, sorry, I went backwards. This leads to our two genders, our two energies that are being balanced here. You know, why a relationship can sometimes be so good for us, because we're balancing our masculine with our feminine. I'm very feminine, so I tend to look for women who are really strong, masculine. I like really tough chicks. My mom's a really tough chick, you know, and I'm like a tough guy, but I'm also really in my heart, I'm just kind of like belly up, like a sweet guy. I can be tough, but that's not what I look for. I look for somebody who balances my energy, who balances my gender. And my gender is a little more feminine than it is masculine. So I look for a person who's, you know, balances that for me. So we got unique vibrations, relativities to the vibrations, balancing those energies of gender. We got the law of the perpetual exchange of energy, which is infinite, as we know, because it's coming from that nothing of potential, and it's just mind, it's just thought. We can have infinite thoughts. And then we got that inspired action. The inspired action makes the world go round. We got possibility, and then we take action on that possibility, and that creates the cause and effect that makes things happen. And now, beyond that, we've got the larger patterns of the law of rhythm and the law of correspondence. You know, our various little patterns. We got our 5 platonic solids. There's only 5 of them, right? But then you've got larger correspondences. You know, what is that platonic solid doing today? What is that man doing today as he comes around his correspondence? But those are all different rhythms. Each one of those platonic solids could be viewed as a different rhythm. This is this shape. This is that shape. This is this number. This is this pattern. And of course, the law of infinite compensation, which says it's going to keep going on for forever. So that leads us to the law of attracting creation. And I call it attracting creation because the law of attraction suggests that you're attracting things that are outside of you. Nothing is outside of you. Everything is inside of you. It's very strange to say that. But you are the creator of your reality. And to a certain degree, the things that you want, they don't exist for you until you decide that they do, or that you want them, that you're going to create them, that it's possible for you to have them. And like, so I told you about that experience. So I did, I had an amazing shamanic experience on Psilocybin a long time ago, where I had that, my reality was disappearing. And there's so many things to learn from what that meant. Because ultimately what it meant was I was the one who was making my reality. And it was based on my interpretation and of reality that I existed, essentially. Everything, like me understanding things, the moment I stopped understanding these things, the moment I went, I don't know what that is anymore. The moment this popped out of my head, I started to move into a new frequency where I was outside of this reality, which essentially what that says is I'm a tuning fork. You're a tuning fork. You're tuning into our reality. What later I came to understand that meant was babies, they're not born blind or with like impaired, because like they say they can only see this much, or like, no, they're blinded. Babies, they come in like experiencing everything, and they slowly but surely tune in to their parents because we're tuners. So when I was in this heightened state of meditation and getting to this understanding that I was creating so much of my reality with my mind, in this state, I like to think that it was spirits that sort of helped guide me to this state where I kind of forgot what certain things meant, and it was putting things out of my reality. But that was because I was the one creating it. I'm creating this reality. So what does that mean ultimately? It means that if money is coming into my reality, it starts here. It starts inside. It starts in me. If success is coming in, if friends are coming in, if opportunities coming in, it starts in the idea of me, in the guy who's generating the universe. we're all generating the universe. The same way as it comes with this perspective thing, where you're like, oh, my brother wasn't nice to me and now I'm going to hit him back in the face. Or you go, whatever, he's just a juvenile idiot and he'll grow up one day. That other thing diffuses the situation, and you're creating a reality where like you don't got to deal with anything and everything's cool. The other one creates a reality where like, oh, your brother's a jerk off and we're going to keep having to fight because now you guys are locked into eternal battle and everything is this thing, right? So anyway, we are not attracting we are not attracting things outside of ourselves. We are attracting creation. And all those things, even the inanimate things, the people, they are you, right? They are just other energetic representations of you in other forms. So the law of attracting creation, we get down to lining up with the things you want. If you are fed up with your work and fed up with what you do and the people you work for and life, you're going to find yourself hanging out with or surrounded by people just like you, people who are feeling that. Sometimes you may swing through somebody else's energy and maybe you were there to raise them up, or maybe they were there to take a swing at raising you, bringing you down. But the energetic momentum that is going into every situation is creating the parameters of our experience. So we need to first, in order to attract creation, we need to believe that whatever we want is possible. We need to believe that things are on the table for us, that we're not limited in any way, and that there are no barriers to what we want to get. Also, what I would recommend for people who are trying to use the law of attraction is that you go very simple with what you're talking about. Because, there are great stories about like Jim Carrey, I think, writing like a check for $5 million and putting it in his wallet, and that's great. But a lot of times, a lot of people can get in the way of their own manifestations. So sometimes, I would say most of the time, it's really good to just kind of have an open mind about how things may play out. I want to get the best health possible, and I'm going to figure out how to do that for myself. I want to be as happy as I possibly can be, and I want to see how that happens. When we go, I want to be as happy as I can be, but it's only going to be if I'm a Playboy bunny and I am more famous than Anna Nicole Smith. Okay, well, now you're setting up some really specific parameters. If your parameters are, I want to be healthy and happy, I think that can be arranged, and you can align yourself very easily with that. If your parameters, if you being that famous Anna Nicole Smith thing is in the cards for you, that'll naturally work out. And it's kind of like a relationship kind of thing. Like, you want to be Anna Nicole Smith, let's say, you want a relationship to work out, you gotta let it go. If you love something, you set it free. If you love being Anna Nicole Smith and you want to do that thing, well, you got to set it free. You got to set free the idea that it's going to be. The reason why my music career has not been more successful for me, or at least in my mind, and my comic book career, in my mind, again, I put really, really high barriers for myself of what counts as success. So I'm just always like aiming for the fences, and I feel upset when I like haven't quite got there. It's because I cared so much and was canceling out that energy of creation. I was trying to specify how I was going to get there. I was trying to control every inch of like my descent down the football field. When you get into those battle of wills where the one team's trying to move the ball and finally that team, they stop moving the ball at all because it's just a battle of wills. And what we're supposed to be doing, if we learn anything from this overall, it's that the universe has natural energetic patternings. And if we can work with that, wait for the energy to come, and then get our inspired action going and be a part of the cause and effect, and just get ourselves into a new rhythm that, is more, is more better for our way of life. That's all we really need, right? So attracting creation, you are really talking about changing your mind about what's possible, opening yourself up. I've written a lot of songs as an activity. And this is going to sound a little silly, but I wrote a song. I think I talked about this a long time ago now, called "It's Raining Money," and I just told this whole story. It was just plane set out one day, loaded up with weight in gold, heading off to somewhere sketchy. You and I may never go. The pilot got in a spin, he was cashing in his chips, tried to save his life half a dozen times before death took him in. It's raining money. And I made this little song. So from this song, it was just a reminder for me that crazy things can happen. A pilot can go up in the air and get into some trouble, and all of a sudden he is crashing down, and there's money coming out of the thing. You don't know. You could win the lottery. You could find out that you have a dead relative. You could get a great job, the greatest job that you've ever heard of. Food Paradise, we were getting like 13 episode seasons. And then I think we got some 26 episode order seasons. And then all of a sudden, we got a 65 episode order season. I didn't know that was possible. I was like, what the hell? But it was around the time when I started kind of opening my mind up to the idea that, well, it could come a lot of ways. No need to close the door. No need to close any doors. So that's, the main thing about the law of attraction, law of attracting creation. It is about vibrating with what you want, getting the friends that you want, feeling great and excited about music. So I attract the musicians who are excited about music, feeling depressed about music and attracting musicians who are also depressed about music. This is the way it goes. You get what you put in so many instances. So we put in thoughts of our ability to achieve, be healthy, be wealthy. And that is ultimately how you attract. That's the law of attracting creation. It's just line up with what you want. But line up with what you want, and at the same time, realize that you're one with everybody. So you don't want to be hurting everybody. Realize that, everything is the mind, and idea comes first. So you got to come up with the idea for the thing that you want on some level. Money can just be a thing, but if you're like looking to do, you got to know what you want to some degree, and money is enough, and health is enough. So putting yourself in the direction of the things that you want, knowing what you want, everything is the mind. Creation comes first. So you want to know that you're making a chicken or an egg, right? Knowing that you're a polarized being, and that everybody around you is essentially right and just sort of polarized a little bit in different ways than you are. But somewhere in between you and them is the right answer. And you want to remember that, you're a unique vibration. And that, so let's say if you're law of attraction and you're trying to get into a group or a job where the people who are there, they're not the people who you're vibrating with. So you're begging and praying God to put you into some job that's the wrong job for you. Well, it's never going to happen. You're not acknowledging this law, the law of vibration, or the law of relativity, that maybe you're the wrong relativity to the group. And then, and also to understand your energy in the matter of your soft energy and your masculine, your feminine and your masculine energy, your strong and your soft, and how to apply it. And who is in balance for you to be around, and what sort of relationships you want, and how to interact with other people based on these energies. You can want all sorts of things, but it's about wanting the thing that's right for you, because the universe wants what's right for you, and it's trying to send you towards the thing that you're most magnetized for. You have a sort of a natural mathematical predisposition to what's a good thing for you. And a lot of people can try to fight this. Unfortunately, we didn't have Cheyenne on the show tonight because she was sick. But I was really blown away when she was talking about how she realized that her horoscope for like when she was born and like the energy that she's on was on this nurturing path where she was going to get married and have a family and have kind of a similar lifestyle to the way my mom did. But she wasn't exactly interested in that. And I was like, oh well, like you don't have to do that. She's like, yeah, but like these energies, like fucking around with these energies, trying to fight these things. I'm here to do this. I'm here to be a boy this time. I'm kind of feminine, but I find my way to be a boy. Not that I've always been very straight as an arrow, but for me, it was straight as an arrow towards the right girls. Like if you give me a girl who like jumps up on a chair and is like, oh my God, it's a cockroach. Like I just want to kill myself. Can't take it. But everybody's finding their place based on their unique energy, their unique vibration, the unique relativities to them. Anyway, so I don't know. I think I've covered this pretty good, and we're getting past where I want it to be, but I figured where we were about to be. I'm going to let everybody get the show wrapped up with a few more comments before I thank everybody who was here. Thanks, Taylor and Angela and Ninja, for being around here the whole time. Thanks, Julie, for watching. Yeah, we're going to hope to get Cheyenne another time. I was so hoping to have her here. I wasn't prepared to do this, but I just didn't want to miss a week because we always do this. So I decided to come on and do it anyway. Hope you appreciate my efforts. I do them earnestly. We don't make money doing this at the moment. We just do it because we love to do it. So. Same mom, I think that'll be amazing. Original Ghost Boy says Laws of the Universe by Dee Snider. Yeah, Ghost Boy, if you go to our YouTube, we have like some of the first classes, and each one we do like an hour on these things, and certainly get deeper into a lot of different ways that you can look at some of these laws and learn from them. I highly recommend anybody who hasn't seen the longer things but is intrigued by what I'm talking about here. I mean, there's so many interesting little notes in my book here, and we get into lots of these different things in different ways: the tree of life and Kabbalah and horoscopes and music and whatever else. It's like 14, I think 14 classes. Anyway, they're free. They're on YouTube, and you guys should check them out. Anyway, gonna go see you later. Love everyone. Stay safe. And yeah, thank you everybody who's saying good night. And yeah, thanks so much. Yeah, send loving vibes and healing vibes to Shy and the rest of the Snider family. Some of them are a little under the weather right now. But yeah, join us next week. I don't have the calendar in front of me, but I know we've got some great guests coming up going into next month. And I'll try to post it on my Instagram or my Facebook later in the week. But anyway, Michael Zinn will be back with me next week, and we will be joined by another fabulous guest on the live stream of consciousness. Oh, but wait a second. I'm supposed to say the live stream of consciousness, and then I'm supposed to hit the thing. Is it the thing? I hit the thing where I'm like, because it's like the end. Do I hit the same thing again? I go, okay, yeah. All right. Again, on the live stream of consciousness.